every day we pick a stock of the day. Today, Premier Investments. So this one obviously because today it has upgraded its full year retail profit outlook, reporting a record May in terms of sales. Global sales in the first 18 weeks of the second half soared some 70%. Stores in the UK and Ireland reopening over the period, and Premier saying that trading actually is coming in line with its expectations. So let's start there, shall we? PMV, is it a sexy stock? Sexy enough for you, Rudi?
No, it's not sexy enough for me. I mean, my sons are 25 and 23 now. They no longer jump on me to buy something at Smiggles. I think in general terms, I mean, there is a fair argument to be made that this is one of the best retailers we have in Australia, and they will benefit from a reset in lease costs for their locations. My worry still is a bit that they have, of course, these numbers look very impressive, but these numbers are derived on the back of lockdowns and people not being able to travel. So it's cycling through those base effects.
And
I'm still a little bit worried that at one stage we will all stop buying shoes and new suits and socks and underwear, and we're starting to directing our spending elsewhere. And then
overseas flights and the like.
And then those numbers will look a lot less impressive. Yeah, that to me is a big question mark for the medium term.
Medium term, but in the short term, I mean, we're all cashed up. Everybody looks like they've got a propensity to spend, and I don't know. I get holes in my socks all the time.
Yeah. Well, I think the short term advantage that these guys have is that Solly Lou plays hardball, and with COVID came, the situation where a lot of retailers were in trouble, and he used that to hammer down rents across the board.
Yeah, controversially, in some ways.
I think it's fine and it's good, and it's exactly what we need, because what are the landlords of this world, and I'm a landlord, but the landlords of our country, we're putting up the price of everything, because it always goes into the price of what you're buying at the very end. Is if you've got high rents, high property prices, the price of everything goes up. So it's a good thing that we have actors that will push down the price of rents, and that's going to be great for the business short term. Now, eventually, if they're getting an unfair advantage over landlords and there's a lot of demand, eventually those rents will have to go back up anyway. But in the short term, it could be a good couple of years if they've used this crisis, never waste a good crisis, to push down their cost base. I think it puts Premier in a pretty good position. On top of that, I think it has to be said that based on the numbers they've given now, if you're willing to believe that profit is sustainable, then I think it's on about maybe 18 times earnings, something like that. But that ignores the fact that they've got a lot of interesting stuff on their balance sheet, including, I think, $1 billion worth of shares in Breville. So I think you could put together a sum of the parts argument that says that this is a pretty good investment now. It's obviously not exciting enough for me, but I have to say, if I was just looking to have some long-term retail exposure and buy and hold, then this would be at the top of my list.
But you're not buying today?
No, I have no particular affinity for retail. I can barely convince myself to hold on when I find something really exciting in retail. So no, not for me.
You're not buying either?
No.
Okay.
I'm not chasing it.
No, but would you hold it if you're already a shareholder because you think that the trajectory, at least in the medium term?
Yeah, there would, at this point in time, there would not necessarily be a reason to sell here. Yeah. And you're getting something along 3% yield in dividends. Although I would argue there would be probably retailers out there with less risk, I think. But yes, if you're a shareholder and you're on a good ticket, there's no reason to immediately sell out here.
Okay, so that is the stock of the day, Premier.